Welcome to the Crystal Coach Show with me, your host, Anahata, helping you live every day with clarity, guidance, and practical wisdom. Are you feeling overwhelmed, anxious, maybe disconnected? Do you ever feel like you don't know how to live a life of peace and joy? I am Anahata Roach, the Crystal Coach, and during this show, we channel divine wisdom through stories of service, spirituality, and stones for self-care. The Crystal Coach Show leaves you with a feeling of connection and the clarity it takes towards becoming the best version of yourself as you hear from thought leaders and many others to help you ignite the crystalline nature of who you really are. Stay tuned. The Crystal Coach Show starts now. Hello, and welcome to the Crystal Coach Show. I am your host, Anahata Roach, and I am so pleased that you're here joining me today. I got so much to share with you. It's just incredible. I just returned recently from a magical trip to Egypt. Spent 2 weeks there, did all the things, all the places. And throughout it, I was faced time and again with programmed fears popping up, getting in my face, getting in my way, being called to attention so that I may clear them. That was part of my journey to Egypt. And so today I want to talk about facing your fears, but finding joy by facing your fears. I have come back with an ability to tap into this unconditional love from Source that is with me always. I was the one putting barriers in front of it. It's always there. And are my foibles still there? My need to control and my need for, getting everything perfect and all that sort of stuff. Those are things that I am still working on. But am I afraid by them? No, no more. This has been a transformational journey for me. And I'm so happy you're here so I can share this with you because I feel like my journey is going to resonate with a lot of you. Fear is just so pernicious. It's just able to get into all of the nooks and crannies of your life and your mind and your consciousness. And you can really find yourself unexpectedly caught in its web. I mean, just unsuspectingly, really. And you're unable to really easily extricate yourself from this grip. But what does finding joy have to do with fear? I really want to talk to you about this, about where I have been and how I've been able to unlock this expansion of consciousness, this willingness to trust and finding the pure joy that has been there for me and that I've been seeking for such a long time. So if you've been feeling stuck or overwhelmed by the grip of fear, I'm so glad you're here because we're going to explore new possibilities for manifesting your best life by facing your fears and choosing to override them. So let's get started. So I had fears coming up around even taking the trip. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to. I've spoken about this before, but I am a caregiver to my disabled husband. And so if I was going to go anywhere, I was going to need to have care for him first. That had to be the first thing that I had to take care of. And once I had that locked in, then I could go and make my plans, right? So I set everything up. I got, folks for 24/7 care. And I was, getting ready to go. I had started to put my things together. Again, all of these well-meaning people, when they found out I was going over to the Middle East, were just really oh, you don't want to go there. It's too dangerous. Please be careful. Oh, I can't believe you're going. It's just, are you sure you want to go? And all of these fear-based things coming at me, trying to get me to change my mind and not go. I mean, I have done this before. I've tried 3 times to go to Egypt. And all 3 times I chose because of fear not to go. So this time I was more, determined. I mean, my spirit guides were really like, you're going this time. And so everything was kind of plucking into place, just dropping into where it needed to be, especially with the caregiving stuff. So that was cool. But about 2 weeks, 3 weeks before I was to leave, I'd already got my everything was already secured. The trip had been paid for, my plane tickets had been paid for, all of that. And my one person that I really counted on to be able to take a lion's share of this caregiving called me up. Well, didn't even call me. I had to find out like secondhand, and I called him up. I'm like, were you ever going to tell me? His back had gone out, and his surgeon had called and said, we've got an opening. You're going to go and get your spine fused. You got to get your back fused. And that was 3 weeks before I was to let, and there's no way he was going to be able to pick my husband up and help him transfer um, out of his chair to the bed, etc. And so I really was distraught. I didn't know. All this fear came up, and I was like, how am I going to go? I'm going to, at least I have trip insurance, but I just knew I was going to be able to go. And all of this was just coming up and just really testing me. And I finally just said, wait, I have trip insurance. I don't need to be afraid of losing money. I know this is covered. I've got it canceled for any reason, trip insurance. So what do I need to do is just sit back, relax, and let this unfold the way it's supposed to. And sure enough, I got all, new shifts covered. That just people came forward that I never expected would be available and would be able to do that. And so it was like, yeah, I was supposed to be going, but I didn't get in my own way by being afraid that I wasn't going to find anybody, right? Because that would have been the very thing that prevented me from going. If I had really sat there and really vibrated that frequency of fear of not being able to find anybody to care for my husband. But instead, I let it go. I let go of the, fear of losing money. I let go of the fear of not having someone to care for him. And lo and behold, 2 weeks before, everything was back in place with a new schedule and a new team. But it was okay. It was okay. And so I left knowing that he was going to be very well taken care of. And that fear was no longer part of the vibration I held for myself. But then there's always that fear of travel. Do I get to, I'm going to have to change planes after a 13-hour flight. Am I going to be able to get it done? And then arriving after this 13-hour flight in economy. I'll never do this again. In economy where I was, I'm 5'10". I was unable to move. And I was exhausted. It wasn't like the plane pulled up to the terminal and we walked out of into the terminal. No. We landed on the tarmac, had to go downstairs, get on a bus and travel, 15, 20 minutes to the terminal. I had 1 hour between my flight and when the flight that I was going to be on, that I was connecting to, was taking off. So I was so panicked that I was looking at my boarding pass, which I had gotten. I got both boarding passes when I checked in the States. So I was looking at my boarding pass and mistaking my seat number for the gate number. And so I'm running through an unfamiliar, huge airport with, with an idea that I need to look for this specific gate number. And that gate number, I found out later, didn't exist. And what happened is I panicked so much, I ran right past the person that had all the connecting flight information. When I got out of the bus and into the terminal, I went right past that person. I remember because I noticed there was a part of me that noticed out of the side of my eye that there were people standing around this person had this big manifest and was looking at stuff. So there it was, but my fear pushed me forward. I daggum near missed that flight because of that, because I went all the way down the wrong way. I passed the gate I was supposed to be on. And so I'm kind of running back and I'm almost, I mean, I'm sweating because I've been running. I've been running miles, it feels like, because this airport was huge. And pardon me. And then there was actually somebody, the gate person was like standing out there looking for me and I'm waving. And so they get me in and they shut the door. I'm literally the last person on the plane. And I sit down and I'm just exhausted. And why did I do that to myself? Because I was afraid. Because my need to know and to control, because they didn't tell me what gate I was going to be at. Because that was going to be almost another day before I could get to that gate. So, yeah, that was like another fear that had to come up, that had to be addressed before I could even step foot in Egypt. So with these two fears checked off in terms of being processed, I went ahead and I'm so grateful to myself for having booked myself an overnight in the hotel near the airport. So, and I'd come a day early so that I could sleep and kind of catch up on the different time differences. It's a full 24 hours plus 8 hours from where I was. And I'm sorry, I've just been kind of getting over a cold. Forgive me. So I had been there, so I had an arrangement where someone was going to meet me from the travel agency and they were going to, walk me through customs, and there's a visa stamp you're supposed to get and all that other stuff. So I got walked through customs. I got taken to someone who was going to take me to the hotel. Got to the hotel. They didn't have my reservation. The travel agency had done this. And so I went through another round of fear, worried that I wasn't going to be able to sleep for, and do what my body needed. And I was so upset. Why did I let myself get upset? I did. About 30 minutes later, it got resolved. I had a room and, all is well. So then the next day was the first day of the tour. But again, being early, having come in early, there was one other person that had come in early, and there was like a meeting spot that we were all supposed to be at, those of us that were early. And so my driver arrived to take me to that meeting spot. And again, the whole thing about where the heck are we going? I didn't know, and it was in the city. And Cairo is, if you've never been to Cairo, the roads are 10x Rome. Okay, the traffic is control chaos is the best way I can say. It's just control chaos. There's no respect for the lanes. Everybody's kind of weaving in and out, and it's. I didn't see any accidents. I saw near misses. I don't know, 1,000 times, but I never saw any accidents. And so finally, I just closed my eyes, and I was like, and we just kept going and going and going. And this guy's like looking at his GPS. I said, "Are you lost?" He said, "No, no, 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 no." Okay. Well, at any rate, And then I was afraid we would never get there. And the whole shmang. So here's fear, 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 just smacking me in the face and in the head time and time and time again. But I wasn't done. I'm going to take a quick break so I can finish this lozenge, and I will come back and I'll tell you like what happened the very first day of the tour. Well, no, it's not. That day we took a flight to Luxor, and then the next day was the very first day of the tour. But anyway, let's take a quick break and I'll be right back. Hi there, welcome back to the Crystal Coach Show. I'm your host, Anahata, and we've been talking about all of the wonderful things and all the lessons that came up for me before I could even get started on this trip to Egypt. So to catch you up, I've made it across to Cairo. I have spent the night in a hotel near the airport. I feel refreshed and much more capable of dealing with whatever is going to be brought my way. And we meet the rest of the group at the airport. And we as a group go to this go to check in for our flight to Luxor, from Cairo to Luxor, and it's already like 30 minutes before the flight's supposed to leave, and I'm like, people, why are we like waiting? This, again, my type A, I need to control, I need to know kind of personality was getting triggered. And I mean, we were running around trying to find the silly gate, and it was like tucked in and turned around. I'm like, you had to go down some stairs and around the corner, and there it was, but it wasn't immediately visible. And then we were going through, and then when we got there, there were people getting their luggage scanned, going through, and nobody seemed like they were in a big hurry, and it was almost time for the flight to leave. Well, what I learned at that point was, one, when in a foreign country, don't apply the standards that you are used to that country. And two, when you are in Egypt, you're on Egypt time. And that's basically what it was all about. We all got checked in, we all got scanned through, and told to go on over to and sit down and have a seat. The flight was an hour late. Boarding. So, so that was another thing that I had to learn to let go of, was this adherence to scheduling and the fear of missing out or fear of being left behind. No, that comes later. The fear of missing, getting, because of your own action, being, the flight taking off, right? So then that's the same kind of fear I had to deal with when I was in Doha and trying to change planes. But it was a little less than what that had occurred a couple of days before. So anyway, we get to Luxor, and it's late at night, and we all get checked in, and we go to sleep. And in the morning, that's when our tour actually starts. And so that was the morning that this was, by the way, a spiritual group. We were on a spiritual quest. So this isn't your normal tour, right? So we had on our first day kind of a gathering of all the people that were going to be going on this tour, with our tour leader, who is one of my teachers, Patrick Ziegler. And I really encourage you all to look him up. It's All Love Sakam, and on Insta, All Love Sakam, and Facebook too. It's all hyphen love, and SEKHEM, All Love Sakam. The work that he and his wife Serle do is just amazing. So anyway, the first thing that we did was to connect as a group and um, work some energy of like the energy of the traveling and the energy of all of the other stuff we brought with us and trying to let go of all that. And then to really kind of connect as, we are all strangers on this journey. And then by the end of the journey, we're not strangers anymore, but collectively looking around the room and saying, okay, these are the souls that were called to come on this journey with me. And so there's something that I'm going to be receiving from just about every one of them. Um, and that was a beautiful thing. That was truly a beautiful thing. Then later on that day, well, actually at sunset after dinner, we went, this place was on an island in the middle of the Nile. It was amazing and beautiful. And we went outside and gathered near the river. There was a big band of marsh before that. So we were as close as we could get. And we watched the sunset with intention. And that was so beautiful, just to receive that solar energy from the Nile, reflecting from the Nile, and to be in this mother country, where it all started. And it is just, I can't describe that. That just started, that teed off the trip for us, in that it really made us feel connected. So the next day we go to the Valley of the Kings, and we are visiting all these different temples, and these are actually funeral palaces, and um, some of them are cut into the side of the mountain, so they're like cave-like things, and some of them are structures that are built out of the mountain, carved out of the mountain. It's just an incredible visit if you've never been. And I have to tell you that if you've never seen any of these structures, these ancient structures in person, and only seen a picture or a video, you cannot begin to grasp the vastness of these structures. And it just blows you away. It's like, my God, people built this and carved these mammoth structures out of the rock. And it's beyond anything you could ever try to imagine. Just as I say, it's just the immenseness of it. You have to be there personally. But at any rate, that's what I received. Then we were going, um, the thing that I wanted to tell you, the funny story, was when we first got to the Valley of the Kings, there's an entrance point, and then you have to like take these little shuttle things. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Shuttle things to the point where there's so many that you can choose to go through, right? And so I didn't know which one we were going to go to first. And they said, this is the only bathroom in this structure. So if you need to go, or you think you need to go, you better go now. And I wasn't going to go, but then I decided at the last minute, well, maybe I should. So apparently I was the last person to come out of the bathroom, and nobody missed me. And the group had completely gone. There was nobody in sight. There was no one. I'm like, where did everybody go? And I'm looking around, and there were some people down this way, and I was walking this way, and there's somebody looked at me and said, "Are you getting ready to leave?" And I said, "No, I just got here." They said, "Go back that way." Okay. So all this while I'm panicking. I mean, this panic is building up inside of me to it on a point where I was just like, I was almost in tears. And my face should have, I guess I've got I can't play poker well. My face just shows all my emotion. And so this one kind woman came up to me, and she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I've lost my group." And she said, will you come in with us? Just come on and ride over where she wanted to know who my tour guide was. And I told her, and so she goes, I know this person. So I will find him. So I get on with her and I'm feeling a little better, but I'm still looking for my group, And we get off and she said, have you seen anybody yet? And I said, no, I'm still looking. And so I just kept walking and I finally found him and I walked up to him and I said, how could you leave me? How could you miss this 5'2" white woman? Wow, with white hair. How could you do that? And he's like, well, I told so-and-so to stay there for you. Um, but apparently so-and-so didn't do that. So uh, anyway, what happened was the fear came. Oh my goodness, this is how long we hold on to stuff. I am a 6-year-old little girl who just started first grade. And I'm walking to school with some other older kids. And the thing is that my mom and the other moms had kind of done was the older kids were going to be where, they were going to guide me. They're going to be like with me to go to school and to come home. Well, that worked really well for the first couple of days, but I really hadn't gotten the route back in my mind. And like the third day, they thought it would be so funny to run off and leave me. So they run off and I'm running fast and my little legs are running past them and like, wait, don't leave me, wait. I'm just sobbing. And all of this came back, all of this fear and just the devastation of being abandoned and just, and being alone and just, oh my God, that came up full force for me to clear. I'm a type of person that in a crisis, I can get it done. I may feel panicky, but I'm going to get it done, right? And then after it's all over, after it's been resolved, I just boo-hoo. Well, I boo-hooed. I'm a big girl and I boo-hooed. And, some of them, the people were like laughing because I was, they thought to them I was silly, but to me, I was still my 6-year-old self. And my 6-year-old self had been scared and she had been afraid she had felt alone and abandoned. And that trigger was so fresh. It was just exact, like I was reliving that experience, that trauma. The end of that story is that some kind woman heard me bawling and stepped out of her house and said, honey, what's wrong? And I had been told not to talk to strangers, but I said, I can't find my way home. And she said, where do you live? And at that point, while I was approaching her house, I happened to look down another street and I'm like, I know where I am. All I had to do was walk just a few more feet and I would have known where I was. But I was standing there just in abject terror. And so, moral of the story is I found my way home. But in this timeline, as an adult with white hair coming into this same feeling, this same terror, and then finding my place again, finding the people that I was supposed to be with and not being lost anymore. I just completely fell apart. And so the big joke was, when we'd get on the tour bus to go to the next place, is Anahata here? They made a big joke out of, making sure that I was always back on the bus and I was always back where I needed to be. So, and by golly, I was always one of the first ones on. So they never really had to wait for me again, ever. So the moral of the story is here is another fear that right at the Valley of the Kings I had to address before I could enter the first place. It was just so challenging and beautiful at the same time. for me to have all of this, in retrospect, it's a cumulative thing, I've got this and this and this and this and this and this. Oh my God, there's a whole bunch of stuff I thought I was pretty clear about. No, 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 we're always working, we're always clearing. But as long as we're here on earth, we have not found. I mean, that's our reason, is to learn and to grow. And we're always learning and growing. And don't ever find somebody who says, I've learned everything I need to know, and I'm going to be your guru. Don't trust anybody like that. Always look for people who are still learning, who still have teachers, who still do clearing work for themselves. There's the sign that there's another person out there that's working just as hard as you are to get to the point. And maybe that person is a few steps ahead of you so that they can reach back and help you to climb up. Okay. So just keep that in mind whenever you're looking for a teacher. Make sure that that person is still working on themselves, has done work enough to be clear, to be like 10 steps maybe ahead, to be able to reach up and, reach down and pull you up. But someone who says, that they've achieved, this level of mastery and they don't need to learn anymore is someone I wouldn't trust, frankly. So, okay, so that's the Valley of the Kings story. Eventually, all of this kind of clicked in my head. At first I was thinking, what is it? What's going on? Why is all of this happening? And then it finally hit me about, really, on the way back to Cairo. I mean, we went to so many different things. We got on a river cruise in Luxor, and we cruised down the Nile all the way to Aswan. And along the way, we saw sacred sites and did tours. And I mean, it was beautiful, it was wonderful. I loved that part of the trip. It was just great. Highly recommend. And then we went from Aswan to Abu Simbel, which is the furthest point, is almost to Sudan. It's that far south. But do you know that because the mouth of the Nile is in, it's gathering around Lake Victoria, I think in Tanzania. So the southern portion of Egypt is called Upper Egypt because it is the closest to the source. And the mouth of the Nile, which empties out into the sea at Cairo, is Lower Egypt. Cairo is in the northern part of the country of Egypt, and Abu Simbel is at the southern end of that same country. But yet that's Upper Egypt and Cairo is Lower Egypt. So now you know. I didn't know. But at any rate, that was a place below the Aswan Dam where the water is, closer to the source and it's cleaner. We actually had a water initiation. In other words, we went swimming, but with intention. We went swimming with the intention to feel the energy and the frequency of the Nile, and to bathe and to connect with the water there. And to me, that was one of the most beautiful parts of my journey, is because in that water, all of that fears and all the lessons and everything that I had been uncovering and trying to heal was released. And I was expanded into this place where I no longer fit in my body. I could feel my body, but I was so much bigger than my body. It was not even the truth. I actually was aware that, my turn was over and I needed to get back in my body to help somebody else have a turn. And I tried to come back and I tried to stand up and I passed out because my body wasn't I just wasn't connected. I was offline. And it took a while because there was so much to let go. But oh my goodness, the Nile, the waters are so healing, so beautiful, so accepting, and just washed all of that stuff that I had been carrying away. But wait, there's more. I'm going to take another quick break. And when we come back, I'll give you the rest of the story. Stay tuned. Come back. Hi there, welcome back to the Crystal Coach Show. I'm your host, Anahata, and I'm giving you kind of an overview of my amazing adventure and journey through Egypt, where I'm facing my fears and I'm washing them away, and I'm on my way to finding my joy. So I left you at Abu Simbel. Well, we drove back and by bus to Aswan and boarded a plane and went back to Cairo. And in Cairo was where we did all of the things on the Giza Plateau. We did all of the pyramids. We did um, the funerary kind of place, Saqqara, and it just really amazing, amazing structures and the step pyramid that was like the oldest pyramid. We visited that, and it's called a step pyramid because there's not an outside coating to it. It looks like little Legos all kind of stacked up. And that was actually a burial place for the pharaoh, one of them. There's so many. There was 30 dynasties in Egypt. When the pharaoh first started out, the pharaoh was a human but exalted, and then by the time the last dynasty died out, the pharaoh was the child of the deity. It was in fact a deity. So it's an interesting evolution. We had an amazing Egyptologist on our tour with us that would just give us just a wealth of information around the history. But at any rate, so now we're back in Cairo, and we're visiting all these different places, and we're going to a place where they make rugs, and we go to a place where they make alabaster bowls and lamps, and we go to a place that has spices. Well, that was in Aswan. But anyway, we also visited, in addition to all of these other places, these historical places, we actually got to see some of the other aspects of life in Egypt. And then the Egyptian spices. The spice shop was that was one of my favorite places, next to the oil shop, the essential oils. Oh my goodness. I literally had to buy an extra suitcase so that I could check it because I had bought so many oils and that was not going to fit in my carry-on. So anyway, so we'd done all of these things, but in Cairo, the thing that we were really looking forward to was the visit to the Great Pyramid. And it's just this enormous beast of a structure. And you have to kind of climb up the stones about a third of the way up to get into the entrance of it. And we went there twice in one day. We went in the morning. No, excuse me, within 2 days. No, was it the same day? Doesn't matter. We went there twice, once in the daytime and once at night. And the trip at night was a private tour. So there was no one else in the pyramid but our group for 2 hours. And that's really was the magic. But we went up kind of a practice, kind of get oriented to the pyramid itself, to inside and where the king's chamber was. And that involves climbing up a ladder that's tilted about like that, maybe even more. And in some cases, you have to like bend over, and the ceiling is very low. And in some places you can actually stand up and continue walking up the ladder. But it goes on for a couple of stories, maybe 3 stories up. And it's close in there. It's not humid, it's dry. It's like a dry sauna inside the pyramid, very dry. And so you're sweating because like all of the water in your body is being sucked out, and you're exerting, and by the time you get up to the king's chamber, you're really soaked. And anyway, we got up there, and there is this red granite sarcophagus in the back part of this huge chamber, which is, you could see all the way up to the top of the pyramid. So it's almost like the third section, the third triangle section of the pyramid itself. And so we're connecting, we're just getting the feel of the frequency of that place, which by the way was an initiation kind of chamber. But we're just doing our thing, and as much as we can, because there's other people that are coming up and down, and regularly the Great Pyramid receives thousands and thousands of people. So we were just part of the larger amount of people for that day. So, we just did a small little connection, kind of setting in the frequency, setting the intent for our return. And when we came out of that experience, coming down, we came out outside, looking up, turning around and looking up, there was a rainbow around the sun, which is positioned directly over the Great Pyramid. And to the left, as you stood out looking, there was in the clouds a very thin pencil-like drawing of the Eye of Horus. I am serious, I have pictures. That wasn't a chemtrail. It was just there. And it was there to tell us that our intention was received. And the intention that I held in my heart was that I receive what I came here for, that I get, an integration of all of the lessons and the learnings and things that I needed to let go and to receive. So when we went back at night, there's no one there, there's no one there. And we have, we have to have like a police escort to get to the pyramid. We have to go through a lot of different bureaucratic channels to get where we're going. And all of this had been arranged by the travel agency, so it was not like we were just showing up. Excuse me. Anyway, we get there, and we climb in, and of course we've all been through it, so we know exactly what we're doing. And we get up there, and now we have time. Now we have time to really connect. Now we have time to feel the energy of the place, to receive the initiation, to get that frequency that is there for those who are open to receive. And it just, we gathered around the sarcophagus and just toned and felt that incredible energy. Each one of us had an opportunity to really get some one-on-one like attention, and it was just such a beautiful, beautiful experience. And for me, that was the transformation. That experience brought me the joy. That experience brought in that open channel to the universal love frequency that I've had glimpses of. I've had moments when I would get that, but it's always like grabbing onto gray smoke. You can't hold it. It's too high a frequency. It's too ephemeral. Now I've got like this place where I can just open myself to it and I feel it. And it's just the joy that I have wanted and longed for after I knew years ago that I had lost it. It's here, it's back, it's available. And I am there, I am here back in my practice, and I want to share it with whoever feels called to receive it. It is just beyond words, much like what I've just talked to you about today. The whole experience of being in Egypt, of receiving, of having the lessons and being cleared of them. Your fears, if you can recognize a fear, if you can choose to override that fear with trust, which is so hard, especially for me, so hard to trust that the universe is going to take care of you. Trust that things are always being, the universe is always conspiring in our favor, right? It's always there for us. We're the ones that put all of the barriers in between it. It's there for us if we can just feel that connection and flow, to trust and to know that all is well and all will be well. That's the end of my travel log, if you will, my experience adventure. I do have just a couple of stones that I think might be really helpful for you if you really want to open up. You want to get your intuition heightened. You want to face your fears and receive a clearing, or receive more of a recognition of what trust looks like, what allowing looks like, what surrender looks like. It's just really quick. I've got several pieces of these, but the ancient Egyptians understood that lapis lazuli, this beautiful blue stone, and that has this pyrite inclusion, that means it's from Afghanistan. The Pakistani azurite doesn't have the pyrite in it. But anyway, this is that frequency of your third eye and your higher self and your intuition. And if you want to start opening that, start connecting with lapis. Also, this is selenite. Selenite is really wonderful to connect with for the higher frequencies and your higher self. It's also just a wonderful high vibrational stone. So you can connect with that and work in conjunction with the lapis to really open yourself up to receiving. And yeah, that's really cool. And then to bring things back down into earth, what they were telling me to show you is snowflake obsidian. Any kind of obsidian works for this. It's a very protective, but it helps you to face your fears and do it anyway. Any kind of obsidian is going to help you to do that. That obsidian is formed from, volcanic explosion, right? So it's got this, transformative kind of energy of the earth that helps to ground you, protect you, and help you face your fears and do it anyway. That's it for the Crystal Coach Show. Thank you for being along for the ride. And if you've resonated with any of what I've talked to you about and you want to work with me around facing your fears and clearing those out, I can help you. Send me an email at mycrystalcoach at Gmail, mycrystalcoach at gmail.com, or click on my website, thecrystalcoach.com. That's all for now. See you next month on The Crystal Coach Show. Take care.
You have been listening to The Crystal Coach Show, helping you live every day with clarity, guidance, and practical wisdom. With me, your host, Anahata. Tune in every first and third Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time on TransformationTalkRadio.com, where we channel divine wisdom through stories of service, spirituality, and stones for self-care. Feel connected and reside in the vibration of love on The Crystal Coach Show. For more information and to become the best version of yourself, visit thecrystalcoach.com. That's thecrystalcoach.com. See you next time.